Hey, Joe, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me as always. Appreciate it.
Joe, we help all types of people, and sometimes it's people who are underage. Maybe they pick up a drunk driving, and now the parents are like, "Ah, man, I'm buying my kids insurance." So there's all these issues going on. But from a basic standpoint, say if you have a new driver, right? What are the rates like for a new driver to be added to a parent's policy?
Yeah, happy to get into that. And like you said, I don't want to say it's a scary time when your kids get into the vehicle, but it's an exciting time. But yes, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, and the insurance is coupled with it. So the biggest things to know is, are they an occasional driver or are they the principal operator? What I mean is are they going to have their own vehicle on this policy? Are they going to be the main operator of one vehicle, or is it going to be, say that parents have their two cars and you let your child drive that vehicle occasionally, because that's going to play a huge factor into rate.
Really? Okay. So why don't you kind of talk about both those scenarios and how they may differ?
Yeah, so the next it's layered, right? Especially with insurance, everything has to be complicated, as you know, in your industry as well.
Of
The
course.
other piece of that, keep in mind, is if it's their first time driving, so 0 to 3 years experience, did they take a driver training class or did they not? Because
Cool.
that's going to play into the rate as well, right? Because obviously they prefer to see driver training, so that also plays into the rate. Once they're past 3 years, the rate comes down about 10%. Don't quote me on that. And that also plays into if there's been any claims and things of that nature.
Of course.
But about 10%. And then once they're past 6 years of experience, can come down about, again, rough because every carrier is different, another 5%. But to answer your question up top about, it's hard to say what a specific rate will be with an occasional versus a principal driver, where they're garaged, where they plan on going with the vehicle. But just remember, if you're listing them as a principal versus if you're listing them as an occasional, significantly different in terms of premium.
So not only that, I mean, so it really comes down to there really is no reason to not have your kid going through the driver training from what you were telling me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the main reason being the safety, right? But
Right.
also, yeah, the insurance companies want to see that too, because I mean, it's a very simple equation if you think about it. Someone that's done the training is more likely to be a safe driver than if not. So we want to promote that more than anything else, and we want everyone to be as safe as possible. So that's the number one thing. Some other little tidbits in terms of rate savings, because we're all looking where we can save. Why not? If your kid's a good student, above a 3.0 GPA, they can offer a good student discount. When I say they, I say most insurance carriers will do that. If you're with a carrier that will not, worth looking elsewhere, right? It could be anywhere from 5 to 10%. Another discount would be if your child goes away to school as a student, right? So if they're over 100 miles away in terms of school, there's another discount associated with that. Again, roughly about 10%. So of that premium associated with them. So it's worth talking to your agent, talking to your carrier, because there's discounts out there that you just may not be aware of.
Yeah, I wonder what the thinking is. If maybe if they're a better student, they tend to be more responsible as a person, so there's less likely they're going to take chances on the road. Maybe.
Yeah, I've come to realize, working in this industry, there's numbers behind everything they do. And so I'm sure there's equations out there that show this type of GPA, will or may associate to better driving. So yes, there's, at the end of the day, it's all about, what premium they can earn, right? But that's how they come up with those figures. And I'd say the biggest way to save money, honestly, Jason, if you're looking for a premium in your insurance policies, is bundling home, auto, umbrella. I know we hear those commercials on TV all the time, but seriously, combining those coverages, that's where you're going to see your ROI, your return on investment, because the insurance carriers want the whole pie, right? They don't want one piece. So look for those discounts on your auto policy. Look to combine it with a home and umbrella. Practice good, safe practice driving skills so that nobody, no accidents. And that's the best way to position yourself from a premium standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it completely makes sense where you were saying if they live over 100 miles away at school, so it's much less likely that they are going to drive, right?
Right.
They're going to drive that car. I guess that's kind of like a common sense reasoning why that would happen also.
Right. And most people wouldn't think about that, right? So it's worth asking your agent. It's worth asking, just to say, hey, what about this situation? What about that? Because there are, like, these are just a couple. These are the main discounts when it comes to your children driving vehicles, but it's worth taking advantage of. You just got to know to ask the question.
Yeah, I think you brought up a very interesting point regarding the umbrella policy. that's a really important thing to have on your child, because if there was, hopefully not, but like a catastrophic thing that happened, now you have the extra insurance policy to essentially cover any type of potential liabilities that are out there.
Highly recommend an umbrella policy. I think we all should have them, especially if we have kids.
Yeah.
You hit the nail right on the head. It's minimal premium. It's for comparison to a homeowner's and an umbrella, but it goes over both those liabilities. And if something bad was to happen, you'd want to have that additional coverage. So no personal assets are at stake or anything of the like. So I couldn't agree more.
So I think parents would also be interested to know about, what if there was not necessarily criminal, but what if there was some type of car accident or running a red light? How does that affect the premium in kind of like an overall sense?
Yeah. So if you remember when we had a call, we did this a month or two ago, and we had posted about, if you get in a DUI, you get in an accident, what does that do to your rate? That's
Right,
the SDIP program in Massachusetts.
right.
Applies very similarly to this here with the new driver. Now it's a lot more rigid and rates increase substantially. It's more aggressive, but it's a good rule of thumb. After you couple on the more expensive premiums for adding a child, if there was to be an accident or something more serious, yeah, if they're allowed to even stay on that policy, your rates they're gonna be very difficult to deal with. You're not gonna be happy. So yeah, accidents and DUIs, all that is, as is really heavily going to impact your rate and the carriers you can work with.
Yeah, and Joe, that's a good point. What I'll do is at the end of this video, I'll also put a link to that video, just so that people can learn more about that system. Because we were talking about it can escalate quickly when you have multiple liabilities in one particular year. It doesn't necessarily mean that you had some type of catastrophic injury. I mean, it really could be a situation where you're having a lot of traffic violations. The insurance company is starting to see that you're too much of a risk for them to want to insure.
Right. 100%. I don't know if people are going to want to see back-to-back videos of me in one post, but I appreciate that.
I think that would be good. So what are kind of, before you leave, what else can you tell parents that's important regarding when their kids are about to start driving, they may not be thinking about? Is there any other tips that you can give them before they have their kid hit the road?
I mean, obviously the driver training is essential, just being a part of their driving as a parent as well, being as involved as possible. The phone thing is really scary, as we all know.
Right.
So I know there's apps out there nowadays where you can track when a child's in the car, if they've looked at their phone. That there are apps out there. I also know some insurance carriers offer some resources for parents, whether it's questions or advice on how to talk to your child about driving, or some informative information there too. My advice would be, when you're thinking or ready to have your child under your policy, call your agent and ask them that question, because every carrier is different, resources are different, and certain carriers are better in certain areas. So it's being proactive and asking up front, compared to waiting till you're adding your child and now you're like, well, wait, is there anything else I can do here to help? You want to be out in front of this. So proactive is the name of the game in this situation.
Well, Joe, thanks for coming on today to teach us more about this actually kind of exciting yet scary topic.
Right. Yeah, no, again, I love doing these. Appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we'll get together soon.
Take care now.